dear friends, my name is Sanne and welcome back to another beauty video. And today I have another 3 looks 1 palette for you, which I love doing, so very excited. A little while ago you've already seen the 3 looks 1 palette on the Essence Benvenuti Aroma palette, which is one of their new city trip palettes. And today I'm reviewing one of the other city trip palettes, which is Welcome to Miami. I'm actually way more excited to try this one because this one actually has a lot of color in it and the Rome one doesn't. That was more of a neutral palette. Still a nice palette. Go watch that video if you want. But today we're focusing on this one. So let's talk a bit about this palette before we get into the 3 looks that I'm gonna do. Packaging wise, I have the same issues as with the Rome palette. I think this looks a bit cheap. It looks as if someone stuck some Getty images on a piece of cardboard and that's it. And it's a bit too busy in my opinion. So this isn't really my favorite. And I also don't like that there's a QR code right on the front of the palette. But okay. And then the inside features a mirror and 12 shades. And this is curious again. The entire packaging is cardboard except for this part where the pens are in. This is plastic, which is also strange. So the packaging isn't my favorite, but I do like that we now have square pans and there's more shades in these palettes because the previous city trip palettes used to have, I think, 7 shades and they used to be like 4 and then 3 and it looked a bit weird or something. So I'm excited that we have a lot more colors in this new palette. So these are the 12 shades that are in the palette. The shades don't have names, only numbers. So I'll be calling them by number as well throughout the video. As you can see, there's a great mix of colors actually. There's some orangey shimmers, some bright blue, turquoise shades and some purple, and then we have a neutral as well. So if you want, you can make a neutral look, which I am gonna try today. And then you have some fun colors going on. So actually quite a diverse palette. The only thing I don't like is that we have 2 beige shades and one is just more yellow toned and one more pink toned, and that's the only difference. Besides that, there's still 2 beige shades and I don't see the need for that. That's a bit too bad in my opinion. It's also not very inclusive. I have already swatched all the shades in this palette, so they'll be up on the screen right now so you can check them out. The swatches were in general decent, not too great, not too bad, you know, don't really have anything else to say about them, except for that I really want to try them out on my eyes. So let's quickly get into look number 1. I have already applied my eyeshadow base, so we can get started. For the first look I am going into the purple shades because I'm very excited to see how those perform. So I'm gonna start with a small angled eyeliner brush and I'm going into shade number 2, which is the deep purple matte. And I'm just gonna use that to draw a wing using the eyeshadow. And I want the wing to be kind of sharp, but I also kind of want to blend it a bit into the rest of the shadows on top, so it doesn't matter if it gets a tiny bit messy. Okay, so usually when I layer a deep eyeshadow color, it kind of stays. Right now when I'm layering it, I feel like I'm dragging away everything that I already applied underneath, so it's not really that great, but I don't know, I'm not digging the shade too much yet. Blends away a bit, it turns a bit patchy, it's not really my favorite yet. Then let's grab a small fluffy brush and go into this shade, shade number 3, which is a softer purple matte. And I'm gonna blend that over here in the outer corner of the crease. And I'm gonna try and blend that together with that deep shade a bit. I feel like on its own this applies and blends pretty well. It's a cute shade. It's just a bit more cool toned than the deep purple, which is a bit too bad because that means they don't match perfectly. Like, you can still use them together definitely, but it might look a tiny bit odd. When I apply this close to the deep purple, it literally goes on top of it and makes that you can't really see the deep purple anymore. The deep purple gets blown away. Then we're gonna go into this shade, shade number 8, which is a bit more of a purple neutral shade. And I'm just blending that into the inner corner of the crease. And that blends lovely. That's just a simple, nice, more neutral type shade, I think. I don't really have anything bad to say about this shade. Now I'm just gonna go back into shade number 3, the lighter purple. And I'm just dragging that underneath the eye. And then I'm gonna go into this wonderful shimmer, which is shade 7. And I'm applying that on the lid. That shimmer is really pretty. I just have some issues with it being used in this color story this way. I'm just gonna go back in with some of the mattes to blend out the edge of that shimmer. And I think that's it for the eyeshadow portion of this look. So I'll quickly add everything I want to add to this look and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, I'm back with the finished look. I'm wearing doe lashes in the style Cloud 9 and on my lips I'm wearing the Essence Semi Matte Lipstick in 25 Lovely. And I also added a bit of like a pinkish purple eye pencil to the waterline, which is from Maxamore, I believe. Yeah, it's shade 04 Hot Pink. And I think in general this makeup look looks really cute. It's giving me like Barbie vibes for some reason. I really love the shade of that shimmer. It's absolutely gorgeous. The shimmer itself is a bit like not really shimmery and sparkly. It's more of like a sheen, like most of Essence's shimmers are, but it's a really pretty shade. The only thing that really bothers me is that we have 4 purplish shades in this palette and none of them work together. The deep purple matte works well with the deep shimmer, but the shimmer is too deep to properly work with any of the lighter purple mattes. And that's what annoys me, because it looks really nice, but it's starting to like transfer here and then you can see where it's darker and you can't really put it like nice on the inner corner of the lid. Maybe if you completely blend it out with the deep purple matte then maybe, but the shimmer is absolutely gorgeous, but it's just too dark for the shades in this palette. It's too deep. You either should have done more deeper purple mattes or a less deep shimmer. Either one of those. They just kind of just not work together. Shade number 3, the lighter purple, is just 2 cool tones compared to the other shades, and it's just a weird combination of shades when you actually start working with them, which is too bad because I like that it actually has like this section of purples. Purple is a great color, I absolutely love purple, but then working with it, it's just none of it actually really works and it's a bit too bad. So I hope the other shades work well and maybe you can combine the purples with like the turquoise a bit, but I don't know, we'll see how the turquoise and such performs in the next look that I'm gonna do. So let's quickly get on to look number 2. Okay, my eyes are primed again, so we're ready to get started. And for this look, I'm going into the turquoise shades and some of these orangey shades. And to get started, I'm going in with a small fluffy brush and I'm going into this turquoise matte, which is shade 10. And I'm just gonna blend it in the outer corner and kind of make a sort of wing moment out of it, but not really sharp, a bit more blended and a bit more like messy maybe. Also going underneath. Right now this was actually working pretty well, this blue. There's a decent amount of pigment coming off and it's blending pretty well. It is turning a tiny bit patchy over here around the edges where I'm trying to blend the shade though. But it may also be an issue with the primer because I feel like underneath here where I don't really have the primer, you don't have that issue, and up here where I do have the primer, you do have that issue. So I don't know, I feel like it might be a primer issue. So then we're gonna go apply the matching shimmer, so that's shade number 4, and I'm applying that on the edge of this kind of corner that we created. And I'm not going like fully on the full size of the lid. Oh, this is a pretty shimmer. This is, I feel like, the only shimmer in the palette that really matches with the matte that it was supposed to go with. Like, it's just a tiny bit lighter, similar base color, and it just looks pretty. And now I'm gonna go in with a fluffy pencil brush because I want a tiny bit more control. And I'm gonna go into this shade, shade number 11, which is sort of a shimmer. It's a really pretty shade, actually. It has a bit of a corally undertone. And I'm gonna drag that into this crease over here. So I'm dragging that right next to that blue. Just kind of on top of it. And this is actually a really pretty shade. But the only thing that I don't like in this palette is that this is kind of the only shade with such a corally undertone. Like, it doesn't really fit with any of the other shades. And that's just too bad because it is a pretty shade. But how are you gonna combine it? Because I'm just popping it into this blue look now because, you know, I want to combine some colors. But you can't really easily combine it with another shade in the palette. Like that. We have like a bit of an edge going on. I think that looks cute. These colors work pretty well together actually. Also because the shimmer in that coral tone is very cool toned. It's very icy. And it matches with the blue in this turquoise. So it's actually a pretty good combination. And then I'm gonna go in with shade number 6 because that is a beige matte and we still need to use that somehow. So let's apply that in the inner corner, I guess. Blending upwards a bit. That kind of just exists there. That doesn't really do anything else. And for the final shade, I'm going in with a thin flat brush and going into this orange shimmer. Applying that along the lower lash line. Blending that into that turquoise. And I don't think this look necessarily needed that. But I feel like, you know, we need to use all the shades. So why not add a bit extra to this look, you know? And I feel like when you have that pinkish tone shimmer and you add that beige shade next to it, it actually looks kind of cute. I just added in this extra shade, which is also kind of cute. I feel like all the shades in this palette are actually really nice and they look nice, but they just don't really work together very well. That's more of the issue. But that's all the shadows for this look done. So I'm just quickly gonna add some lashes and lips and whatever, and then I'll be right back with you with the finished look. Okay, I am back with the finished look. It didn't turn out that great, but it's decent. I must say the shimmers in this palette are really great. They apply very well. They're lovely and just a bit sheeny. They aren't very sparkly. But until now, I'm not really loving the mattes. This one is a lot better. And the lighter mattes are great and they blend well. But the more colorful, more deeper mattes are just a bit... They might be great for people starting out with colorful eyeshadow. But I also feel like maybe... when you're starting out with colorful eyeshadow, you want something of good quality that works with you instead of against you. And these shadows are like, they're decent, they're okay. I think you can work with these. They aren't really working against you, but they're also not necessarily the easiest to work with. I'm wearing the Doe Lashes in Style Crazy in Love, and on my lips I'm wearing the Essence Shine 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 lip gloss in 107 Coral, which I felt like was a very good color to match with this color, and I'm correct. This is the finished look. I still feel cute and I think you can combine these colors a tiny bit, but I'm just a bit confused about the color story of this palette in general, but we'll discuss that a bit later. Let's first quickly get on to look number 3. Okay, let's do the final look, and for this look I'm going into the neutral shades, so this brown, this beige that is left over, and this golden. And because I don't like to do basic blends with neutrals, I'm doing something fun. So I am taking my angled eyeliner brush again, and I'm going into the deep brown first. And I'm doing another sort of smoky wing, but then different. So I'm first just drawing a wing with the deep brown. And I'm also drawing something over here. A half cut crease, and then blending that outwards a tiny bit already. And I'm also dragging that deep brown underneath the eyes a tiny bit. Now that we have that down, I'm going into this base shade, which is number 9. And I'm taking a small fluffy brush and I'm just gonna use that to blend out the edges of that brown shade that we put down. I must honestly say at this point I'm not really a big fan of how this brown matte is blending. It's taking me a while to hopefully not make it look patchy, and then in the end you don't have that much pigment left. So I feel like over here it's blending a bit better than over here, so it might also just be my skin a tiny bit. I'm just gonna go in with a flat brush and a tiny bit of concealer so I can carve out this inner corner a tiny bit more. Just going in with that small fluffy brush to blend a tiny bit of an under eye moment. And now of course you can keep it an all matte look, but I want to do a bit extra. So I'm going into this final shade, which we haven't used yet, shade number 12. And just dragging that slowly onto the lid a tiny bit. Not the biggest fan of this shimmer. It's quite sheer, it takes a little while to show up, but okay. Just adding that to the inner corner as well. And then that's gonna be it for all the eyeshadows. So I'm quickly gonna finish up this look and then I'll be right back with you with the finished look and my final opinions on the palette. Okay, I am back with the finished look and my final thoughts, of course. First of all, I added the doe lashes in style Starry Night, I think. And on my lips I'm wearing a Mickey eye pencil with the e.l.f. Cosmetics lip lacquer in the shade Moody. I just went for something neutral. I was kind of done with this look. It didn't turn out the way I wanted to. It wasn't working with me. The brown shade just wasn't working with me. So I'm not really happy about this look, but you know, it's fine. At least we now know that that deep brown shade is not that great. It doesn't really blend very well. So what do I think about this palette? Well, first of all, I want to mention I would have expected to love this palette more than the Rome palette because this one is colorful. I freaking love colors, you all know this. I would have expected I'd love this one way more than the Rome one. But I must say, the color story confuses me a lot. Just because a lot of the shades, especially within the purples, don't really work very well together. And especially the shimmers. The shimmers are just too deep to work with most of the mattes. There aren't any light shimmers in this palette at all. There's not really a matte that matches this one. There's not really a matte that matches this one. So you kind of have to combine it with like the brown maybe. So I think it looks cute when you look at it like this. You're like, oh, that's a cute range of colors. But when you actually start looking at it and look at the details and what do you have and what don't you have, it's not that great. Also, why do we need two beige shades? It's so redundant. That's why. And then in general, the shimmers perform great. I don't really like this golden one that we used as the last look, but all the other shimmers are great. They're not very sparkly, but that's just how Essence shimmers are. They're quite simple actually, but they are pretty. The lighter mattes perform really well. They blend very nicely. They're great. I like the turquoise in this one. And this light purple, it's nice. The deeper mattes, these two, they just don't blend that well. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's my skin or my primer, but they just don't blend very well. And they're quite difficult to work with actually. And it's made it a bit difficult for me to use this palette. So, I don't know, in the end, I like this palette way less than I expected it to. The looks that I got out of it were great, but I feel like the Rome palette I can just grab and there are a few shades in there that I can quickly turn into a look. That isn't the case with this one. I thought this one would be more great for like my creative endeavors, but I don't know, there aren't that many great quality shades in here that I would use. So I don't know, I'm a bit torn on this palette. Maybe if you're a beginner with colors, this is something fun to try because it's only €7, but I actually would say that I prefer the Rome palette over this one. So yeah, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on this palette, I guess. So yeah, let me know what you think of this palette. Have you tried it? Are you interested in trying it? Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. If you want to see even more from me, my blog and socials and everything else you need to know about me, including my gaming channel, is linked down below so you can check that out as well. Click that bell icon so you get a notification every time I upload. And that's gonna be it for me today. I want to thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Toodles!